The fishing trip. Okay. Petey, his name's Petey. We're going to meet Petey today. Petey was so excited. He and Dad were going fishing in the morning. Dad had told him that he had to get up at 6 a.m. What time do all of you get up? 6 a.m. it's early. Anyway, so then Mom had told him that he would have to go to bed by 9 p.m. What time do all of you go to bed? Yeah, anyway. And he had to go to bed early so he could get up early. And Mom said he had to have a good breakfast because she said growing bones need lots of sleep and need a good breakfast. So Petey had already come to his room and he had taken his bath, but he was so thrilled over having a whole day with his dad, he couldn't seem to stop smiling. Dad told him, "You are growing up now, so we want you to start doing some father-son things together. I am your dad, and I want to spend time with you one-on-one." Do you know what one-on-one means? Just you and the other person, not a group of people, one-on-one. So Petey had watched his friend across the street doing things with his dad, and he was so envious. But his friend was 7, and Petey was just 6. So when his dad brought up the fishing trip, he was just over the moon. That means he was really happy. He didn't really jump over the moon. Just me and Dad, thought Petey. It can't get any better than that. He pulled up the covers to his chin, and with a smile on his face, he finally drifted off to sleep. Suddenly he heard his mom cry, "Petey! Time to get up, time to go fishing." So Petey, do you think he said, "No, I want to go back to sleep"? No. He jumped up, grabbed his blue jeans and a yellow t-shirt. But I bet he didn't wear a cool bracelet like I have on. Anyway, so then he put on his socks and his sneakers, and in the bathroom he went. He brushed his teeth, brushed his hair, and he was ready to go. Bouncing down the steps, he reached to the bottom very quickly. Mom had breakfast almost ready when he walked in. Dad was sitting there drinking his coffee. He looked up and smiled and said, "Hey there, big guy." That's what Dad said. "Hey there, big guy. You about ready to head off fishing?" Petey quickly answered, "I sure am." Then Mom said, "Not so fast. You have to have a good breakfast before you eat. And that goes for you too, Dad." She said, "I have to keep my guys fed right." Petey and Dad just laughed. Soon Dad had put their rods in the car along with a big tackle box. And Mom handed him a cooler with water and sodas and a picnic basket with sandwiches. Mom kissed them both and waved to them until they were out of sight. Hey, look, do all of you know what a tackle box is? I'm sorry to stop reading, but I just want to tell you what a tackle box is because I don't know if you've been fishing or not, and I haven't been fishing really since I was a little girl and my daddy took me. But I got this fishing tackle box for you to see, and it's right here, and you put all your things in it. I'm going to close it up and hold it up so you can see it. This is a fishing tackle box, and in that you put all the fishing apparatus that fishing people need. Like they need baits so they can catch a fish, they need hooks, they need these little floater bobbers, they're bobbers, floaters, bobbers, some people call them, but just different things. And I'm learning, because like I said, I don't go fishing, I'm learning that you need a different hook to catch different fish, or when you're in different water. For example, if you're in the ocean, if you're out at the coast, you need these little trick-a-majiggies right here. They're weights, because the waves in the water is going to make your little bobber go all over the place, and I guess that holds it down. I don't know. Those of you that know fishing could probably tell me more about that. But let's find out what happened. Okay, Petey had never been anywhere without Mom. He hadn't been fishing or to the park or even going to get ice cream without his mom. Remember, Petey's just 6. But before he got sad, thinking about leaving Mom at home, his dad said, "This is going to be a really nice day, just you and me." Petey looked at his dad and gave him a big smile. "Yeah," said Petey, This is a guy day. No girls allowed. Soon they arrived at the big old sign that said Straighters, and Petey knew they were at the lake. Do y'all like my lake back here and my fish that are swimming in the water? That's Kaka's lake. Anyway, you know, mine's just pretend. Dad drove down a dusty dirt road, and all of a sudden, this huge lake was right in front of them. They found them a good spot. Then Dad helped him bait his hook. It was a yucky looking worm. And he showed him how to cast his rod out into the water. Cast means to throw it out into the water, from what I understand, from what I'm learning about fishing. Anyway, let me see where I was at. Now, he said, we will prop it up on this forked twig, and we will have to sit and wait. Dad fixed his hook, and when his hook was in the water, he sat down close to Petey, and soon they were laid back in the grass, watching their bobbers float on the water. This bobber would go down in the water if a fish nibbled on the hook, said Dad. So you have to watch it. Suddenly, the bobber went down under the water, and it didn't come back up. What do you think that means? Dad hollered, grab it, Petey, reel it in. Do you know how to reel it in? You have to go like this, reel it in. Okay, Dad said, reel it in, Petey. Petey wasn't sure, but he was trying, and Dad came over to help him. He had to help him catch his first fish. It didn't take long, and Petey reeled in a crappie. I think a crappie's a little bitty fish from what I've learned. Anyway, Dad showed him how to take it off the hook and put it in the basket. Then he helped him fix his hook with a worm again, and then the waiting started again. In just a moment, Dad's hook grabbed, and the little bobber, it went under the water. And when it finally stayed under the water, Dad grabbed it and pulled it in. He had a good-sized bass. From what I understand, a bass is big, but I guess it depends on if it's a baby bass or a grown-up bass. But anyway, this is just right for dinner, said Dad. They continued to fish and talk, and soon it was time for sandwich and soda. Oh, yummy. This is the good part. Boy, it hit the spot. Dad looked into his basket and said, well, we have enough fish for supper. Do you want to pack up and go home? Suddenly, Petey thought about Mom, but he didn't want his dad to think he was a baby, so he said, maybe we can catch one more. Petey had learned how to bait his own hook and cast it into the water. So together they sat down in the grass, but no sooner did they sit down, but both bobbers went down into the water, and Dad hollered, every man for himself. Can you reel it in, Petey? Petey, just remember what you've learned today. Don't jerk, stay calm, and stay steady. And maybe we will catch 2 more for supper tonight. Do y'all like to eat fish? So side by side they stood there on the bank, reeling in their fish. Then they turned towards each other, held them up. Guess whose was bigger? Dad's was a small one. But Petey had snagged a big bass, and he was so proud of himself. Dad was proud of Petey, and suddenly he reached in his tackle box and brought out a hat that said, I love to play ball. No, not really. It said, I love to fish. Petey's head was small, but Dad was able to change the band around it until it fit just right. Now you are a real fisherman, said Dad. Laughing together, they stored their fish in the back and started for home. As they drove home, Dad asked Petey, do you remember in the beginning what God made? He made the earth. I do, said Petey. Well, Dad said, do you know what day he made the fish? Did y'all know God made the fish? No, Dad, I can't remember, said Petey. The 5th day. The 5th day, God made fish, said Dad. God made the earth in 6 days, and on the 7th day, let me see what happened on the 7th day. I got to turn my page in my book. Okay, On the seventh day, do y'all know what God did on the seventh day? He rested. Sometime, when you think about it, look up and see on which day He made the people and the things on earth. Now, how can I find out what day God made? Okay, He made things for 7 days. He made something on the first, the second, the third. Okay, what did He make on the first day? Well, do you know how you all know to find the answer to that? You pick up your Bible and you go to the book of Genesis. The book of Genesis is the very first book in the Bible. And it starts out with, in the beginning God created. And then it tells what He created. So I encourage each of you to pick up your Bible and read what He created. All right. So if you're I say in your Bible, but you're looking at your Bible, you're reading your Bible. In your Bible, in Genesis 1:20, it says, "Then God said, let the water be filled with living things." And a fish is a living thing. So God created the heavens, God created the earth, God created the fish. Okay, Charles, did you enjoy this story? Oh, I'm so glad you did. And I'm so glad that Charles was able to be here with us today. And I'm so glad you were able to be with us today. Thanks for coming by. Toodles until next time. See you on Wanna Hear a Story with Grammy.
Spin. Come along, let's dive right in.